You can forget the rocking chair. Why? Because today's retirees are active and many are actually starting new businesses. So if that's one of your goals, make sure you stick around. Hi everyone, I'm David Scranton and thank you for clicking on today's video. You know, there's a survey recently which said that Americans age 65 and older are more likely to be self-employed than adults of virtually any other age group. And part of the reason is the great number who started their own businesses after retirement. In fact, it's actually a common goal and a good one, but if you've thought it through and are well prepared. If you haven't, it can be a very bad idea. We'll talk about this on today's show entitled The Do's and Don'ts of Starting a Business in Retirement. So specifically, we'll cover why it's so popular these days, as well as 5 important do's when starting your own business and 5 important don'ts. And we'll end with the single most important key to making your business and your retirement successful. So let's start with why it's so popular these days. First, for many, it's a chance to pursue a second career in something about which you are really passionate. Second, of course, it can be an excellent way to earn additional retirement income or to continue growing your retirement savings. But there's more than just those 2 major reasons. Because in addition to saving money, starting a business can also save you money in several areas, such as tax deductions and keeping you from overspending on things you'd be doing with your time had you not spent that time building a business, right? But it can also help keep you mentally and physically healthy. It's interesting, but many people struggle with depression, especially early on in retirement, because they're looking for a way to fill the void left by the fact that they've left the workplace. Retirees who run a business reduce that risk because they stay busy and they stay focused on positive goals. And of course, that can also reduce your medical expenses. So again, offense and defense. Lastly, it can help ensure that you live an active social life, which again goes a long way toward maintaining good mental health as well as emotional health. Of course, not everyone's cut out to run a business after retirement, right? And to make it work, you need to do all the right things and to avoid all the wrong ones. So now let's take a brief look at the 5 do's which are going to help improve your odds of success. Number 1, do your homework. Now, this may sound simple, but it's amazing how many people don't do this. Because market research is a crucial thing to do as an early step for virtually any business venture. And there are plenty of resources available to help you. These include Small Business Administration, various trade groups, as well as economic development organizations in your area. Number 2, do connect with other entrepreneurs. You can learn a lot from people already achieving the goals that they're working toward. And there are many ways to find these entrepreneurs, including local chambers of commerce, industry trade associations, and even social media. Number 3, get a business mentor. If you lack startup experience, a mentor who has it can be invaluable. You can look for a mentor through your local trade associations or with SCORE, the National Small Business Network. Number 4, learn new technology. And that may be difficult for some of us who are approaching retirement, but business technology is always changing. So it's essential that you keep up with the latest advances to help your company be successful. If you need to, go ahead and attend classes through adult education programs, local colleges, or even online courses. And number 5, do be realistic. Don't let your excitement and your desire to pursue your passion cloud your judgment. Starting a business, yes, is a major, major decision. So you need to make sure that it's feasible, not only in terms of the amount of financial investment you need to make and time investment, but also your health, your schedule, and how it factors in with all of your other retirement goals. Now, let's look at 5 don'ts. Number 1, don't spend your entire retirement savings on startup costs or even any significant part of it for that matter. You should use as little as you can up front because over half of all new businesses fail And most of those are for reasons outside of the control of the business owner. Number two, on the same token, don't borrow against your 401k. Number three, while we're talking about borrowing, don't take out small business loans. Any kind of borrowing to start your business can be a huge risk because it increases your debt and essentially decreases your cash flow available, as most of these loans have to be paid back in a relative short period of time. Studies have shown that one of the keys to a successful retirement is actually having as little debt as possible. So it's better to try the best you can to start with your own financial resources and build your company organically through the reinvestment of profits and cash flow. And it's similar to the strategy that an income specialist uses to grow your portfolio through strategic reinvestment rather than through capital gains. So we call it growing your money the old-fashioned way, organically. Number four, do not neglect your other retirement goals. Your business might be your main goal, but don't get so focused on it that you neglect your other retirement goals and fail to create a financial strategy to achieve them in a more global way. And number five, please don't try to go it alone. No matter how much market research you do, no matter how much careful preparation you've done, you still want the help and guidance of the right financial professional, meaning preferably one who specializes in retirement income, but also one who understands entrepreneurs and business ownership. Those last two tips actually highlight the single most important key to making your business and your overall retirement a success. And that is properly coordinating your business with your broader income strategy. For example, if starting a business is one of your retirement goals, good for you, but you need to approach it more as a lifestyle goal than a financial one. You know, we've already talked about how it can benefit your mental and physical health, right? But as to how much it may benefit your financial health, let's face it, that's an unknown factor. And the key to building a sound retirement income plan is to eliminate as many of the unknowns as possible. And that's one reason why it's important to switch your financial focus from being total return focused to more income focused with your investments as you near and enter retirement. Because it helps you build a strategy based more on facts than on hopes. So to help me out with this all so important topic is today's special guest, James Locke, co-owner of Pool Locke Associates, located in Wilmington, Delaware. James has more than 20 years experience in the financial services industry. And you know what, James, it's always great to have you here on the Income Generation.
Hey, Dave, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So tell me, I know most of your clients are individuals, but you probably have a decent number of folks that are also self-employed, some of whom probably even started their own businesses after retirement.
Absolutely. We have lots and lots of clients that are still working, but it may not be their first job because they came out of a lifelong career, and it doesn't matter what the industry is, but they came out of a lifelong career and now they're doing something, like you said, maybe they just want some extra income. Maybe they're trying to fill the time, but now they're doing something they love. And I'm surprised at how much. It's pretty close to 40% of our clients.
Wow, that's a big number. That's certainly bigger than my clientele. So, all right. So a lot of people are doing this. In your experience, do you find that those that are self-employed tend to be better money managers than those are perhaps who are employees of a company, or not really?
No, definitely. I definitely find that the people that move from a lifelong career, they've had that financial foundation, right? Because they worked that full career somewhere else and they likely have saved money. And they're more likely to have things like pensions or their retirement accounts generating enough base to allow them to kind of fund this new business that they're getting in. And it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe they're consulting in their previous field. Maybe they're in something new, right? But they usually have that good financial understanding that, hey, I can't just spend willy-nilly. I have to budget and I have to make sure that ends meet. So we find that they're actually pretty good at managing that financial piece of the new business, being an entrepreneur.
Well, good, because they have to be, right? As a business owner yourself, if you're not good at managing the finances, things can get away from you really quickly. And you and I both know some people who are financial advisors who delegated the management of the finances of their own business to somebody else, only to find out later that things had gone dramatically awry from how they had hoped. So that's good. And now you probably have people now, I would assume, that are thinking about starting their own business, that are, it's on their mind. Maybe they've talked to you about it. So tell me about that.
Yeah. When someone comes in and says, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I was an artist. I'm going to sell my art. I was a consultant, and I'm going to continue to consult in other fields. Usually I sit down with my clients and I say, hey, let's go over some of these pros and cons. What's going to be good about this? What's not? And we often run through when we find people, 55 and older, they have much more maturity. They understand that they're bringing that previous experience with them. They have much more patience, right? They understand that this isn't going to just magically work right out of the gate. They're more practical about their business, what they do. They have that financial foundation. And normally, if somebody comes in saying, I'm thinking about starting a new business, they need to have a strong work ethic and honed interpersonal skills and have an appreciation for how much work it actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are these some of the pros and cons, if you will, of that you find when you talk to people and you go through this list of people, the positives as well as the negatives of why they should or shouldn't start a business?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to sit down and go through all these, because if they think they're just going to magically turn this, business into a cash cow, well, then maybe they're not ready to start their own business just yet. They need to understand it, because we go through the cons as well. It's hard work for somebody to start a new business, sometimes much harder than expected. You're your own boss, and the work may be gratifying, but it's far from easy. Maybe you have some bad habits that you took from a previous job into this one, and that's not going to work. And that's going to be just, exemplified bigger and bigger. It's going to get pushed bigger and bigger when you're your own boss. And there's also limited time for growth. You're not 30 anymore. You may be 55, 60, 65. So there needs to be a window of, hey, how long is this going to be before it starts working? And there could be pressure on you financially if you're putting too much into it. So pluses and minuses.
And there's some folks that, a lot of folks over age 55 maybe do not know a lot about how the newer technology can help their businesses, like some of the younger folks might. May not have as much energy as they think to push it forward through the tough times, not just the dream of the good times.
Right.
And some may not even have management skills, right? They may have worked in a position where they didn't have to manage a lot of people. And maybe as this business grows, they're going to have to develop those. So again, some positives and negatives. Real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you right now about the financial markets and what's going on. Because, people, their 401ks were growing, right? And maybe they're thinking about retiring, or as we say, quote, retiring, but then again, starting their own business. They're going up and up and up, and then the 401ks got slammed back down, and now we're seeing a bit of a rebound. How might that play, or doesn't it play into the timing, in your opinion, of making that decision? If I were your client and said, hey, I want to retire from my full-time job and start my own business.
A lot of it's going to depend on how you're positioning yourself into retirement. Are you making the proper shift to move from, hey, I'm saving, to, hey, now I need this money to be a paycheck replacement, right? And if you can make that shift accordingly, well, then it may, the numbers may line up for you to say, hey, I'm generating enough income from my investments to float me in this new business. I'm going to get along. Right. And that's really why people come walking into us. They're not looking to me to say, how do I be a better artist and sell my art? Or, how do I be a better consultant to the pharmaceutical industry? They want to know that they can go into something they're passionate about and know that the finances will be there behind them. And they don't have to cross their fingers and toes and hope the stock market keeps rallying up, because as we've seen through 2022, it hasn't happened. And boy, has there been volatility, and has that been stressful to people doing this.
Yep, very much so, very much so. Final thoughts. What's your top piece of advice for those right now who are considering retiring from their full-time job and starting their own business?
Yeah, the first thing is there's a wealth of people out there that you can talk to about specifically the financial side of it. Talk with a fiduciary, talk with someone who understands running their own business. Right? As you said, as people who run our own businesses, we've been there, we know a lot of the pitfalls. So talking with someone who can help you make sure that you're going to make ends meet together is your first step to a bigger entrepreneurial world. And use your resources that you have had grown with you all during your career. Don't forget that you have all these contacts. You don't have to do it alone. Make sure you have the finances and work with as many people as you can.
Great advice. Great advice. I love it. All right, James, always a wealth of wisdom. I love talking with you. Thanks so much for being here. James Locke on the income generation. Thank you for watching today's video, the do's and don'ts of starting a business in retirement. If you enjoyed it, please click the thumbs up button to give us a like, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel for new content each and every week.